progress and tradition was a defining characteristic of the Pahlavi era. The resistance culminated in the Islamic Revolution of 1979, which sought to revoke many of the rights that women had gained. This was a setback for the women's rights movement, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter in the struggle for women's freedom in Iran. The Pahlavi era was a period of significant progress, but also of considerable controversy and conflict. The era witnessed the birth of a new consciousness among women in Iran, a consciousness that continues to shape their struggle for equality and freedom today. The Islamic Revolution of 1979 brought about a dramatic shift in Iran's political and social landscape. What did this mean for women's freedom? In the aftermath of the revolution, the new Islamic Republic began to reshape the societal norms and laws that had previously governed women's lives. The family protection law, which had provided women with certain protections in matters of divorce and child custody, was swiftly abolished. This was a major setback, as it left women in a vulnerable position, with limited legal recourse in family matters. But perhaps the most visible change was the imposition of the mandatory hijab. Women, who had previously been free to choose whether or not to wear the veil, were now required by law to cover their hair and bodies in public. This was seen by many as a symbol of oppression, a stark contrast to the relative freedom they had enjoyed under the Pahlavi regime. However, it's important to remember that this rollback of rights did not go unchallenged. Iranian women, who had long been active participants in their country's cultural and political life, did not quietly accept these changes. They showed resilience and resistance, staging protests and advocating for their rights in various ways. Despite the restrictions and challenges, women continued to make strides in many areas of society. They pursued education and careers, often excelling in fields such as science, literature, and the arts. They sought to reclaim their space in the public sphere, defying the restrictive norms imposed upon them. It's also worth noting that the struggle for women's rights in Iran is not just a struggle against the state. It's also a struggle against deeply entrenched societal norms and expectations. And in this struggle, Iranian women have shown remarkable courage and determination. The Islamic Revolution marked a setback for women's rights, but it didn't extinguish the flame of resistance. Despite the challenges, Iranian women have continued to fight for their rights and freedoms, demonstrating a resilience that is truly inspiring. They have shown that they will not be silenced, that they will continue to strive for a better future, for themselves and for the generations to come. In recent years, we've seen a new wave of activism for women's rights in Iran. What does this look like, and what challenges does it face? The struggle for women's rights in Iran has taken on a new face in the digital age. Over the past few years, we've seen courageous women make bold moves to protest against the mandatory hijab. These acts of defiance have given birth to movements such as My Stealthy Freedom and White Wednesdays. The former, started by Masi Alinejad, is an online campaign where Iranian women share photos of themselves without a hijab, a powerful statement in a country where such an act can lead to arrest. White Wednesdays, on the other hand, is a campaign where women and some supportive men wear white scarves or clothing in protest against mandatory hijab every Wednesday. The white color symbolizes peace and the desire for peaceful protest against the enforced dress code. These movements have garnered international attention and support, yet they continue to face fierce opposition from the government. In addition to these grassroots movements, there is a continuous struggle for legal reforms. Women's rights advocates have been tirelessly pushing for changes in laws that discriminate against women, such as those pertaining to marriage, divorce, child custody, and inheritance. But progress is slow and often met with backlash. Despite the inherent dangers, many women are not deterred. However, the government crackdown on women's rights activists has intensified. Activists have been arrested, detained, and even sentenced to lengthy prison terms. The government has even gone as far as accusing these women of being foreign agents, attempting to undermine the state. Yet these repressive measures have not quelled the spirit of resistance. If anything, they have only strengthened it. Women in Iran are showing the world that they are not to be silenced, that they will continue to fight for their rights, regardless of the obstacles in their path. The struggle for women's rights in Iran is far from over, but the spirit of resistance remains strong. What does the future hold for women's freedom in Iran? As we look ahead, we see a future that's fluid, one that's yet to be written. It's a future that holds promise, a promise of change and progress. But the journey towards that future is not without its hurdles. The road to women's freedom in Iran is laden with challenges, but it's a road that Iranian women are determined to tread, their resilience shining forth like a beacon in the night. In this world of constant change, the potential for a shift in women's rights in Iran is palpable. The winds of change have started to blow, and they're gathering momentum. The international community plays a crucial role in this transformation. It's a role that involves amplifying the voices of Iranian women, supporting their fight for equality, and standing in solidarity with them in their quest for freedom. This doesn't mean imposing ideas or values, but rather fostering dialogue, understanding, and respect for human rights. The courage of Iranian women is unmatched. Despite the adversities they face, they continue to stand tall, their spirits unbroken. They have shown us time and again that they are not just victims, but champions of change. They continue to fight, not just for themselves, but for the generations to come. They are the torchbearers of a movement towards equality and freedom, and they're not backing down. Looking to the future, we see a world where Iranian women are not defined by their limitations, but by their potential. A world where they are not just seen, but heard. A world where they are not just followers, but leaders. A world where they are not just dreamers, but achievers. The road to women's freedom in Iran is challenging, but the determination and resilience of Iranian women give us hope for a brighter future. In this journey, they are not alone. Their voices echo across borders, resonating with all those who believe in freedom, equality, and justice. And with each passing day, these voices grow louder, stronger, and more powerful. They are the voices of change, and they will not be silenced.